Chatting here with Key High football coach Chad Winters. Last week was homecoming at Key High. Unfortunately, things didn't go the Keyhawks' way as Edco defeated Key High 58-16. What were the takeaways from last Friday night, Coach?
Just struggled in kind of both offense and defense. Had a tough time getting anything going offensively. They got some good athletes, good football team. Defensively, just couldn't get stops when he needed to. They put their athletes in space, got them the ball, and they hit some big plays against us, and we didn't get guys on the ground when we had opportunities to, and all of a sudden we found ourselves in a hole. Got a couple guys banged up that in the first half that really hurt our depth. So just trying to overcome that, along with trying to get guys moving in the right direction when they don't have a ton of experience is tough to do in game. So that's kind of a point of emphasis this week on as we're prepared for Midland to make sure that we got a few more guys repped up, ready to go.
And of course, injuries happen to every football team, and I know everybody would love to have that next man in mantra, but in 8-man football, there often isn't a next man in at many spots, to be fair, correct?
Correct. And then you end up in the situation where instead of you're just putting the next guy in, you're moving this guy to this position and this guy to this position to make sure that you got your best 8 kids out there, and you're kind of playing musical chairs. And sometimes that's just really tough when you got 2 or 3 guys going to different positions just to try to overcome one kid going down. And that's kind of the situation that we found ourselves in. Not a ton of upperclassmen depth experience. Want to make sure that guys are physically ready, can protect themselves, put on a good showing when we're putting them in the game as well.
And of course, with a margin like that, you got to give your opponent a heck of a lot of credit. But from where the breakdowns were, both offensively and defensively, what does your team need to learn based on their performance from last Friday?
Just getting back to the fundamentals. That's what we're concentrating. I mean, yeah, we're focusing on what Midland does, but this week's primary focus is Keyhawk football and doing things the right way, making sure that we're getting lined up correctly on defense, making sure our calls are correct, everybody doing their correct technique, gap sound, running to the football, little things that didn't happen as much as they needed to last Friday night. Offensively, making sure that we're lined up correctly, making sure that we're getting guys to the right guys defensively, making sure we're blocking things correctly. When you got that musical chair aspect, sometimes all of a sudden you got 2 guys blocking one and one guy not blocked, and that usually doesn't end up very well in football for us.
And of course, this week you mentioned the game. Your opponent is Midland, another one of your opponents. Talk about what you're expecting out of them come Friday night.
Midland's always a physical team. They got quite a few seniors. A couple of their better athletes from last year are back. The Balu kid plays quarterback. You don't block him on defense, he's going to have 15 tackles. He's their middle linebacker, runs extremely hard from his quarterback position, throws a pretty decent ball as well. They try to stay fairly balanced on offense. There's a Sauer kid that leads them significantly in rushing and receiving that we got to take care of. Another kid, number 2, escaping my mind what his name is right now, but those are the guys that we got to focus on. Those guys are their best athletes. Obviously, they got some big physical linemen up front that make things go. Anytime they come to town, you got to be ready for a slugfest. I mean, that's the way it's always been with them, and physical at the point of attack. So we got to make sure that we try to control that line of scrimmage, get off blocks, stay on blocks when we're on offense, and get guys down in the backfield, right by the line of scrimmage on defense if we're able to.
And you mentioned a lot of the practice this week is focusing on yourselves. That being said, what do you want to see out of your team, really even independent of the result coming up on Friday night?
There's going to be some younger guys that get a chance to show what they're capable of. Some guys that have been waiting for some chances and that have been working hard in practice, and sometimes you put a guy out there and you get surprised, pleasantly surprised, and that's what we're hoping for. We've got some seniors that their time's winding down. They got 2 regular season games left, and most of those guys are never going to put the football pads on again. So we talk about that. It's senior night for those. We have 6 seniors doing things the right way. I mean, giving your all every single play. You don't know. I mean, you're one play away from not putting them on again, and those guys understand that, and they've done a good job of setting good examples for the younger kids during the week and preparing the way that they need to, and just looking for a good ending to it for those seniors.
All right, Coach, hopefully you can get back on the winning track. Keep your kids healthy. We wish best of luck in the final home game of the season coming up on Friday night.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it.
Chad Winters, head coach of the Keyhawks.